My name is Gavin Mercer. People in Silver Creek know me as the quiet ex-military guy who keeps his lawn trimmed, waves politely, and spends his weekends coaching his daughter's soccer team. But before I was just another single dad in a suburban cul-de-sac, I was a Navy SEAL. For years, my life had been nothing but dust, blood, adrenaline, and silence. The kind of silence that comes only after chaos, when bodies are still and the air tastes of gunpowder. When I finally retired, I promised myself one thing: no more war. But sometimes war doesn't let go of you. Sometimes it follows you home. Silver Creek was supposed to be a sanctuary. No HOA, no nosy neighborhood boards, just a clean little pocket outside Portland where people minded their business. That was the reason I chose it after my wife, Laura, died of cancer. Emma, my 12-year-old daughter, was my mission now. She was everything I had left. Her laughter kept me alive. Her obsession with geology meant our garage was stacked with buckets of rocks, fossils, and the occasional meteorite she swore she'd found in the park. Silver Creek was supposed to be safe for her, but safety is an illusion. I learned that in Afghanistan, and I was about to be reminded of it in the worst way. It started with a letter. Neatly folded, tucked into my mailbox, stamped with an official-looking logo. Silver Creek Homeowners Association. Except Silver Creek had never had an HOA. That was why half of us moved here in the first place. The letter wasn't even for me. It was for Carol Hayes, my 70-year-old neighbor. Said she was fined $325 for non-compliant ornamentation, her little painted garden rocks. Carol was shaking when she brought it over. Her lips trembled as she held the paper in her hands. "Gavin," she whispered, "what do I do?" I sat her at my kitchen table, poured her some tea, and scanned the letter. It didn't take a seal to smell the rot. The phone number traced to a burner phone. The website was barely 2 weeks old, and the logo lifted straight from an HOA in Arizona. It was a scam. But by sundown, half the block had received similar fines. Trampolines, koi ponds, basketball hoops, everything was suddenly a violation. And then I saw something else. On my security camera, a black Suburban idling at the end of our street. Same day the letters arrived. The plates traced back to something called Property Assessment Services, LLC. My buddy Felix, retired cop, 2 houses down, confirmed it was fake. Whoever these people were, they weren't neighbors, and they weren't amateurs. The next afternoon, 3 men showed up. Cheap suits, clipboards, sunglasses. They moved like they owned the place, strolling down our block in daylight. One of them, tall and lean with a prison tattoo peeking from under his cuff, marched right up to Carol's porch. "He's for compliance checks," he said. His voice had that sharp, practiced authority, like he'd rehearsed it in the mirror. Carol froze, clutching her garden gloves like a child caught in trouble. But then the leader asked a question that made my blood run cold. "Is the Mercer girl home?" Emma. That was it. The line they should never have crossed. I was already moving before my brain fully caught up. Boots pounding the pavement, shoulders squared, my voice low and sharp. "Excuse me?" I barked. "You want to repeat what you just said?" The men turned. For a split second, I saw it in their eyes, surprise. They hadn't expected resistance. The leader smirked. He snapped his binder shut. "We'll be back, Mercer." "No." I stepped into his path. "You're going to tell me why you're sniffing around my daughter, or you're not leaving." The men bristled. Tension thickened. And then I heard it. "Dad?" Emma's voice. She stood in the doorway, backpack slung over one shoulder, braid messy, eyes wide with confusion. The tall enforcer lunged, and I moved. The world slowed. I hit him like a freight train, shoulder slamming his ribs, sending him sprawling across the grass. Emma screamed,
high, terrified. That sound flipped a switch inside me I hadn't felt since deployment. No hesitation, no mercy, just precision. The leader reached for her wrist. I caught his arm mid-swing, twisted, and drove my boot into his knee. Snap! He crumpled, howling. The tattooed one came from behind. I spun low, elbow hammering his kneecap. It shattered. He collapsed, clutching his leg. 2 down, crawling. The tall one tried to rise, but I yanked him forward by the collar and slammed my knee into his thigh. He screamed, collapsed, unable to stand. 3 men, all broken, all writhing in the dirt. "Emma," I called firmly, "you're safe. They won't touch you." Neighbors poured out, phones recording. Someone shouted police were on their way. The men tried to protest, mumbling about HOA business, but their cheap badges and plastic binders lay scattered in the grass. The illusion was gone. I crouched beside the leader, with his face twisted in pain. "You picked the wrong house," I whispered, "and crawl away if you can." And they crawled indeed. Pathetic, broken figures dragging themselves toward the street. Sirens wailed in the distance. Blue and red lights painted the neighborhood. A squad car screeched to a halt. Officers jumped out, guns drawn. But the scene explained itself. 3 so-called HOA enforcers on the ground, badges shattered, knees broken. Neighbors yelling, "They tried to grab his daughter. We saw the whole thing. They're fake." The cops moved fast, cuffing each man, dragging them to the cruisers. And then one of them broke. "It wasn't us," he blurted, panicked. "We were sent, paid by Carol Hayes." The street went silent. Carol, my sweet old neighbor. Emma clung to me. "Daddy, she sent them?" I looked her in the eyes. "Yes, but she'll never touch you again." The officers moved on Hayes immediately. Warrant, arrest, charges, conspiracy, impersonation, attempted kidnapping. Her face when they pulled her out of her house. Shock, denial, betrayal. But the evidence was undeniable. Bank transfers, phone records. She'd hired those men to scare me, to take my daughter. The neighborhood turned on her in an instant.